Hi, Dean. You're very welcome. My name is Patrick. If you're a roofing business owner or maybe in the roofing or construction industry in general, this may be of use to you. Basically, this video is just to run through the process of how to generate a consistent flow of calls and leads for your roofing business or for your building business. That's what we're going to go through. It should be of use to you no matter what stage of the business you're at. And let's get started. Okay, so if you're a roofing business owner, to finally have a system and process to not just generate calls and leads, but so you don't have to worry again about the next time you sort of hit a quiet period. You know, how do we have a system in place so we don't have to be too concerned about, what happens in the future? So does this sound too good to be true to you? Well, let's have a look at it. You can judge for yourself, but based on our expertise, this works for us, and we've got it pretty nailed down at this stage. Okay, I'm going to share with you 4 actions you can take to bring in calls and leads every month. Some of these things you can do yourself to start implementing now, so you can get started. You don't need to be waiting for me to do it. That should help you out as well. I'm also going to share with you some of the following things: the single most challenging marketing issue facing most roofers, how to generate sustainable and consistent calls and leads, and then how to overcome the biggest obstacle or challenge facing contractors, and also what you can do to generate more calls and leads right now. So there's some of the things I'm going to run through, and again, all this should be pretty useful to you. Okay, only a roofing company owner with a predictable system for attracting new clients can grow their business consistently and profitably, and that stands to reason. If you don't have a fairly nailed down system and process in place, you always have this element of unpredictability, and it's very hard to grow and plan and move your business forward without it. So if you're looking for a predictable way to generate above average calls and leads, then you're definitely in the right place. Hi, my name is Patrick Thomas. I'm the founder and owner of roofclient.com. We're a roofing marketing agency. We specialize basically in just dealing primarily with roofing and construction related companies. Most of those are roofing, but we have some across the construction industry. So we're the creators of the Roofing Client System. Basically, I'll explain to you that as time goes on, but it's a system we have in place how to generate consistent calls and leads for your business. Is basically we establish and build out roofing brands from start to finish, so we can take on a roofing brand that has no presence online and bring it straight to number one and have a full authority online presence that's fairly well established. We basically are the number one roofing marketing specialist in Ireland and the UK. We run AdWords campaigns for roofers and contractors, Ireland, UK, US, and Australia, and further afield, but it's fairly international. Okay, so what sort of, I guess, let's look at what we do. And here's a slide here from 2020. Basically, this is the call volume of calls we bring to our business. This is it's 2 years old now at this stage, but it'll give you an idea as to during 2020 we did 5,135 calls for our contractors. That's just calls. Doesn't include any email leads and other stuff we do after that. But that'd be just calls we send through the system that we help our clients generate. And that was during COVID, so it was a pretty slow year, as you can imagine, but we still managed to generate the call volume. So basically this here is a graph chart between 2018 and 2020 of the call volume we'll be doing for sending to or help send to our clients. 2018 we're just doing around 2,500, 3,500 2019, and 5,000 2020, the ones you just saw. 2021 we did another 5,000 again during COVID, and this year we expect to do around between 7,000 to 8,000 calls. This here is a chart of some of the campaigns we're running, just to give you a perspective into, volumes and costs. This, for example, this one here, this campaign at the top in the green here is the number of calls, and the yellow is the average cost per call. It was €31, 629 calls we did for that campaign. And underneath it, 517 calls, and we basically, that one, the calls in that one were around €33 a call. The one up here to the right was €19 a call, 169 calls. That was slightly less. I think that was for guttering. So that gives you an idea as to sort of, just some campaigns, a slide shot of some campaigns that we run and the results we're getting. This here is just a snippet of the typical call volume some of our clients have been getting when we took these snippet shots. So, for example, it looks at the call volume over the last 30 days. This one here, 177 calls over the last 30 days. This campaign here was doing 103 calls. This one here doing 78, 51, and 96. So that gives you an idea as to, sort of the call volume that different campaigns are getting. Again, they vary quite a lot for a number of reasons, where the businesses are at, how long they're running the campaign, etc. It varies quite a lot. So I suppose if we're to nail down what our expertise is primarily helping roofing contractors generate a consistent flow of calls and leads for their business. And we also build out their brand authority and expertise locally so they can grow their business predictably. So these three parts are sort of connected here: consistent flow of calls and leads, brand authority and expertise, and then predictability and consistency. Those three pieces are sort of tied together, and I'll sort of explain here later on, what I mean by that. So this section, I'm going to look at how marketing stands now at the present moment to give you a perspective into your options, and it'll become clear when I show you. So the current situation for marketing basically is you have two options. You have the traditional marketing, and you have the more modern online marketing. So traditional marketing is made up of flyers, newspaper ads, directories, door-to-door stuff, referrals, which all stuff has worked in the past, starting to work less so now, primarily because I suppose online marketing is more efficient. You can scale it. It can be, more cost effective. And it's, I suppose what's more important is more predictable. Traditional marketing is very unpredictable and very hard to get high numbers in it. Online marketing, paid ads, Google My Business, the website, SEO, social, online directories, they're all some of the ways that you can generate calls online, and I'll talk through them in a while. Traditional marketing versus the new system. I guess the differences that we see here when we're talking to roofing contractors here is, number one, is they make the assumption that they're similar, and they're not. They're extremely different, very different results, very different costs, very different return on investment. There are no similarities. The age groups using these would be very different as well, and something to keep in mind. The second here, digital marketing will deliver 10 times the results. A quote from Perry Marshall, 5% of business take 95% of the business online, and there's an awful lot of truth in that statement. Just going to take some water here. So each generation that grows up with digital devices in the hand move further and further away from traditional marketing. So it's something to bear in mind, every 10 years, the next generation are moving further away from that as well. So even if you have clients coming in now with ads and newspapers, it can be good. If it's working for you, keep doing it, but you don't want to have it as your primary source of income, or for leads anyway. If a 4-year-old can find something on an iPhone, well then, go looking for a newspaper and all stuff like that makes a little less sense. Online brand authority is the difference between being a leading roofing contractor in your area and just somebody who's just providing another service. There's a lot of truth in that, and I'll explain why later on as well. So 10 times the return. Traditional marketing is good. I can build a business, and it does work because it's worked in the past. But for growth and to be a leading roofing contractor in a city, you need a strong online presence. From a scale, consistency, and all the reasons I sort of pointed out there earlier on. I'm just going to move this here. So, for example, on a city population there of about, say, 250 to 300,000, if you've got a correct online system where your online presence is pretty well built out, you can pull in an estimated call volume there of anywhere between, say, 180 to 120 calls a month. You can do more, and you can certainly do less. That'd be fairly conservative and a pretty good average. We've done more, and we've done on the lower side depending on what's going on, but that would be a pretty realistic average to be getting. And then you have to ask yourself, can you do that with newspapers and flyers? Very unlikely. Okay, basically, something to consider as well is how people search for information has fundamentally changed. For most roofing contractors, they're often fishing in the wrong pond. For those that have started their online presence, a lot are still applying the 1980s, 1990s online marketing, thinking that if they have a website, I'm good to go. Clients can find me. That's all I need. But, that isn't the case anymore. There are millions of websites online. It's gotten very competitive. It isn't good enough anymore. Having a website doesn't even get you out of the starting gate. You need it very much pretty embedded in order to compete, and that competition will continue to grow. Online search now, ask yourself, when a potential client looks for your service, what actions are they taking when it comes to finding a roofing contractor? So the last person that came to you looking for a job or looking for, say, a roof repair or a roof replacement, what's the typical process they went through to find you? And we need to think through that because, it's sort of relevant to what we're talking about. So the typical process, for most people, because mobile search now has very much outdoes computer search, and because a mobile phone is with you at all times or on your desk in your hand, you can always start searching straight away. So a mobile phone would be the primary source of search. Then when somebody keys into, say, Google, they're going to put in the service plus the area. So if it's roof repair plus city, they're going to key that in. Now, how Google delivers that result is in 3 sections. Once you scroll down through your phone, it may seem like it's all just one list of names, but it's not. It's divided up into 3 sections. The top section and the listings that get the primary sort of source of importance for Google really are AdWords, because they're paying the most for it. So the first 3 to 4 listings there are AdWords that are paid. If you pay, Google puts you there and is quite happy to do that. Underneath the paid AdWords, you've got Maps, which is in my profile, and this is location-based information. So if you're in a city where your address is, all location-based information. Again, you need to be optimized here. You need to be registered and verified. If you are, you still may not list there, but you certainly need to be at least verified and registered with Google for that. Then underneath that, you usually have, within the maps, you've got 3 listings here, but you can have a 4th one, and that can be an ad, which will outrank the 3 here and go in at number 1. So if you have an ad running, you can show up in the ads. You can also show down here in the maps, give you a second listing here. And then underneath the maps, you've got the organic listing, which is the natural 10-pack that are listed there, that people, run a lot of SEO and to get themselves into the listings. And underneath that, again, you can have some more ads. Some of the poor ads that don't perform on top can be shoved on the bottom here from Google. So that's really the search process that people go through. And when they're looking at it, we need to concentrate on these 3 sections here, because that's where you're going to show up and that's where the results are. If you're not in there, remember your competitors will absolutely be in there. So it's important that you think about it. Tomorrow's most successful roofing contractors, business owners, are those that are embracing online marketing as a primary sort of representation platform. It's important. It allows you to scale affordably. It can, you can really sort of stretch out your boundaries to any city, provided you can service and get there. But you can really scale it. It's there's nothing to compete with it. Building a brand with a strong online presence is absolutely essential if you want to be a roofing leader, if you want to be able to compete at the top and have no issues with calls and leads and build that brand authority. You do need it. This section, what we already looked at so far, is current marketing options. We talked about that, traditional versus the current, your two options and the different outcomes of each. Then how prospects search. We took you through the mobile search and the different options that Google present to you when you're searching and how people find you. So the next section, we're going to look at what's the biggest challenge facing most roofing contractors at this present moment. So starting running a business, we know is complicated. You don't need me to tell you that, but just to sort of highlight an issue that's related to what we're talking about here is, you're dealing with different problems together on an ongoing basis. Running any business, it doesn't matter what business it is complex because you are juggling multitasks, and the smaller that business is, the more you've got to take on. So that's dealing different problems that come up. Finding pricing and completing work, managing staff, handling quiet periods, balancing, the pieces of work from tax and everything else that goes on with it. Though you have all that on an ongoing basis anyway. So we want to look at how do we start, making that juggle of issues a little less easier and a little more straightforward. So when it comes to sort of running any business, it does seem like you're going through a series of highs and lows or peaks and troughs. You're going over one hill, you're coming down, and then you're starting another hill and you're going over the next. It's very rarely that you have a flat, straightforward, even surface where you could just get on with things and predictably plan ahead, So it, like I said already, it almost seems like you're either going uphill or coming downhill and doing nothing else but that between dealing with different issues and processes. So what we need to sort of look at here is, okay, we know that running a business is difficult. We know that you're really going from one issue and problem to the next, represented here in the hills, heading over one hill, heading down, starting up another, it's so how do we take you to a more flat, even surface where things are more predictable, straightforward, what you need to do, where you need to get to, and make it a little bit, I suppose, more easier on what you have to do. So the solution, the issue that we see with roofers and that stands out to us, that the biggest contributor to that challenge that you have of dealing with issues every day, especially when it comes to the marketing point of view, is an inconsistent flow of predictable calls and leads each month. We find that if we could solve that problem, it would reduce an awful lot of other issues that you could predictably plan ahead for the amount of work that you have coming in. If you need more work, how to get it coming in. And so you have less downtime, you have less, you can level out the amount of work that you have, if it's coming in on a consistent basis and plan accordingly. We find that if we can solve that problem for you, that it would reduce an awful lot of the issues that we see coming in. So I suppose what we're trying to do here to symbolically, cut a hole through the mountain really here, or, to level the road, what's required to do that to, so you can actually, get more done quickly and easier. So the solution that works for us and works for our clients basically is there's two parts to the solution. First part of the solution is building out your brand authority and expertise. basically putting you in a position of authority that will cushion you when circumstances change again for the future, so you finally have the plan to deal with it. We find that most of our clients come to us looking for roofing leads and more business, primarily after some circumstances that change, where it's something small or, something you sort of shifts, and they come looking for more leads and calls. So we find that if we can start building out your brand authority and expertise online and placing you as an authority, that has multiple effects, and I'll talk about that here now. So part 2 of that process then would be to generate a consistent flow of predictable calls and leads every month, allowing you to plan and grow your lead volume consistently, so you know exactly the cost of each call coming in and how to get more. So the 2 parts were to build out your brand authority and expertise, and then generate the calls. Now, those 2 things are interconnected, in that if you build out your brand authority and expertise online and you're seen as an authority for the service or the sub-niche that you go after, that you then automatically start generating more calls. If you start generating more calls and leads, you invariably start being seen as a brand authority, as an expert online. And the more narrow your niche in on that, we tend to push clients to identify if you take any trade service, most tradesmen have about 3 to 5 services within their trades, within the trade that they do, whether it's a roofer, a plumber, whatever it is that they do. And there's about 3 to 5 services or sub-services within that they do. Out of those services, well, we start to ask you to look at which one is more profitable, which one do you prefer to do, and then to start focusing in on that, so you can start fine-tuning, your expertise, dialing in, how to get more calls and leads for that, and then scaling that process. And then that starts pushing you in a position of authority. So when people come looking for that service, you start to stand out as the primary source of the person to call for that. So basically, looking at the prospects here and the process and the authority process here, somebody searches online on a mobile phone for you. If you're placed on the Google AdWords here, you're in Maps, you're in the organic listings, and you start to do social, you're in all 4 sections that people will that they can look for you on a mobile phone or even on a computer. But these are the main areas that people are going to look for your service online. And the numbers to sort of prove that. We know the process of where they go to, the keywords they put in. If you're in those areas and you stand out over and above your competitor for the service you provide, well, invariably you'll get more calls, and that invariably puts you in a position of authority. So, and that position of authority then, like I said, starts to bring you in more calls, and that starts to separate you from the pack of generalist tradesmen and roofing contractors, where you start to be seen as a specialist and an expert, and again, you sort of stand out from everybody else accordingly. So the roof client system really is about targeting homeowners who need services, and that's obvious. A consistent flow of calls and appointments coming in, and then building out your brand authority and expertise, again, which in turn generate more calls and leads, and those calls and leads go back to the top, where you can target more homeowners and then build more consistent client appointments, and then increase your, so it's a sort of an evolving process really. So we've done this for many roofing contractors. This is one of our clients here, South Dublin Roofing. Alan Cotter is the contractor there in South Dublin. They, on average, throughout the year, do somewhere between 80 and 120 calls. It's gone up to 180, and it's been down to 60, but that's a fairly strong average. They're the number 1 roofing brand in South Dublin. Basically, they've established themselves in the most exclusive part of the city. So people at this stage now would search for their brand. About 40% of their search is through their brand name, because they're that pretty well known. Now, their main authority and expertise is not just roofing. There's many roofing contractors there. They serve up high quality roofing to premium homes in South Dublin. That's their sort of niche they're after. That's their expertise. So they would stand out over and above most roofing contractors in South Dublin as being the brand for that. Another brand that we worked with, Jim's Roofing, when we took this slide, they were doing around 60 calls a month. Again, that varies from 50 to 80 on average, but 60 would be a good average number. Patrick Spalding is the contractor there. They're the number one roofing brand. They ranked number one for roofing in their city. When they came to us, they had no presence whatsoever online, but they were actually very busy. So they needed us to build up their brand. So when down the road, when they weren't busy, that they'd have that done and in place. So again, around 40% of their calls come in through their brand name. People, you generally just type in Jim's Roofing. Their authority and expertise is primarily local, reliable and trustworthy roofing companies. So they stand out with that personalized element that they have in the brand and the attention to detail in what they do. So that's Jim's Roofing. They're two of our clients that we worked with. So at this stage, you may or may not be wondering why authority and expertise, and do I have to sort of narrow down my authority and expertise? And we encourage you to do because of a number of the following reasons. Brand authority and expertise sort of sells itself online. And why I say that is often we find that if somebody stands out as an authority and expert, people have often decided they want you to do the work for them before they've even called you, because they've done enough research. They see that you stand out and you're top of mind to most prospects. It also cushions you in slower times that you're able to keep growing because your brand is out there, it's established, and it's sort of self-reinforcing. If you're an authority in any niche, like I said, that's self-reinforcing. It shields you against your competitors because you stand out. It allows you to run a consistent business with sufficient leads, and it will level, I suppose, the road against future potential peaks and troughs, which is what we were talking about earlier on. Now, taking action now, well, we're going to look at just what can you start doing now to help yourself start getting in some calls and leads coming in for your business. Action one would be to sign up for Google AdWords. If you're not really on there, you can do Google AdWords on your own. They have a light version, which I strongly recommend you avoid. You can run ads to your service pages. You can also run a call-only campaign, which doesn't really require you to have a website, so you can just have a phone number and get going. You should focus on improving your quality score, because quality scores are the process by which Google evaluate who ranks number 1 and number 3 and accordingly. You should connect up your location pages. Location pages are those suburb pages that rank for suburbs, not just a county or a city. And you should set up your conversions so you can identify what keywords are converting, turning into calls. Action 2, Google My Business or Google My Business Profile. You basically, again, if you just Google My Business Profile, put in your name, it'll tell you whether you're verified or not. If you are not verified, you should verify. Google will send you out a card and fill in your details. You can post images there and start gathering reviews, and that will give you some extra calls coming in when you're looking for calls. Action 3, like I said, you need a website. Location pages, like I just explained. If you want to know about backlinking to a website, a good backlinking guide is Ahrefs Backlinking Guide. If you Google that, it's a very good source of how to generate backlinks and what the process is. You should do weekly and at least monthly backlinks and connect up your location pages to your Google My Business profile. Action 4 would be, again, create a Facebook page if you don't already have one. Some businesses run most of their business off Facebook because they continuously stand out there. They have a big, strong presence online. They engage with customers, post videos, respond. That builds up profile, and it works very well. And like I said, it does most of the time. Those calls can be free of charge, so it's worth doing. So how many estimates did you get in the last 7 days? If you haven't, what did you do to try and even get estimates in the last 7 days? If you haven't got any estimates and you haven't got a process in place to sort of to get that working well, if you want to start receiving 20 to 30 calls in the next 4 weeks, well, if you start out a campaign with us and you start working with us, we can do that for you. We can generally do about 20 to 30 calls in the first month, and we can grow it then every single month after that. Again, depending on your budget and the market that you're going after, how competitive it is. But we can definitely, on average, we do about 20 to 25 calls in the first 4 weeks of starting. So we basically, you want to be looking at it from the point of view of looking at your total revenue, where you are today, and then where you want to get to. And then if you look at the average order value that you get for each customer that works with you, well, if we deliver X amount of calls, you can work out exactly how many calls you need to increase your future revenue, where you want, whatever that figure in your head on a monthly revenue is. Well, then you can work it out from a call volume point of view. If you know what the average call will bring into your business, how many calls you need to start pushing. You'll finally have a proven system in place and a method to generate calls at the volume you need. And you'll also know the average cost per call and return on investment, because if you know the average order value, you know the amount of calls you convert into percentage, you can work out exactly what the return on investment is for your campaign. Now, you basically at that stage, if you put those things in place, you finally have the brand authority and expertise to build that consistency into your business. You start to stand out as a brand authority. You have the leads and calls coming in. It becomes a self-reinforcing process that builds on itself, so you can start moving ahead, planning, getting more contractors in to do the work, and scaling up with what you want to do. It very much works, and it works very well when all the pieces are in place and you've put in the time into it. So basically, at that stage, you've got less hills to climb. You start seeing that level surface, because like I said, the biggest contributor to the challenges that you have is generating leads and calls from the contractors we talk to. If you have built out your brand authority and you're starting to generate the calls and leads and the sources we tell you to, and we take you through those steps in helping you with that, that road ahead is very much a little bit more flat and straightforward, and you can start getting on with with what you need to do. Now, basically, achieving this is not, I suppose, it is a straightforward process for us because we know how to do it. You can figure it out yourself if you start working on it. All those platforms, you can sign up for yourself and start working, going ahead with it. It will cost you more money because it's going to take you an awful lot longer to do it. If you want to unlock the process for it, you can start working with us, and we've got it pretty nailed down at this stage. So we can just symbolically insert the key and open that lock for you and get the show on the road for you if it's something that appeals to you. We are looking for some more clients that we can start working with. So if you think that this is you and it's something that you'd like to consider at the very least, or if it's a case if you just want to have a talk about it, discuss it more, by all means, you can book a time with us to have a chat and see if it's something, that's for you. How the process works really is we just basically, you can click on the link below here and set up an appointment time to talk to us. We'll basically talk to you at that time that suits you, and then basically to see where you are, where you want to get to, and if what we do helps you, we basically can start the process for you. Now we look at your current revenue, where you are, where you need to get to, what we need to do to get you there and to close that gap so you can get on with it. Basically, that's the process. Who is this for? Well, it's for roofing business owners and contractors who are currently in business and operating. If you're starting out, this isn't really suitable for you. If you have an established business, you want to increase the business and grow your brand. Some roofing contractors don't, which may seem surprising, but you basically need to be at that place where you want to increase and grow your business. Roofing contractors, as I said, want to build out their brand authority, position themselves as a leading roofing contractor. Owners that truly, like doing what they're doing, and you need to understand, you need to have some skin in the game with regard to achieving this process. The better the fit, the better the results. We know at this stage that not every person is suitable. Not every roofing contractor that comes to us is suitable. If it's a good fit, we can get on with it and get the job done. We know exactly who we can work with because we've pretty got it, like I said, we've got it pretty nailed down. So just a word of warning, we don't work with everybody. There is limited spaces, and I'm not saying that just because there is limited space. I'm saying that as much as we'd like to, we can't work with everybody. Not every roofing contractor is suitable. Not everybody is at that position to actually move ahead and grow their business. When they are, we're here. But if you are suitable, and we'll work with you. If you're not, we certainly don't take you on. Because it just makes life difficult for us, for you, it doesn't work either. So, it has to balance out and has to be suitable and workable for both of us. So if you think this is something that might be of interest to you, or you just want to have a chat with any commitments, click on the button below this video or on the screen once it finishes here. You can see booking a time that suits you to have a quick chat. We'll look at where you're at and what you're trying to do, and if what we do fits that, we'll by all means we'll certainly help you out. If it's not, well then maybe it's sometime in the future. At the very least, you have some indicator as to what you need to do, and like I said, you can start helping yourself with this stuff. It takes you enough that longer, but it is doable to some degree. And you can start moving ahead. So we hope this has been of some help to you, and at least a guide of what you need to achieve as a roofing contractor to start growing and scaling and generating a lot more consistent calls and leads online. And if there's anything else we can help you out, we'd certainly be delighted to be able to do that. We're here to help out roofing contractors, and we're fairly good at what we do. So click the link below if you want to have a chat, and if that is the case, I certainly look forward to talking to you. My name is Patrick, and by all means, get in touch if we can help. Okay, cheers, take care, bye-bye.